Okay, so, this is the first time I tell this in Greentext format, so do forgive me if the writing is wonky. There are quite a few things that added up for me after events and some that don't, and it's always cool to hear what PPL think about the whole experience. Is early 2000s. Emo is all the rage at the time in mid-school and high school. One guy, Jay, is kind of known as ground zero for the trend. He was a grade above me, long black hair, bangs, mascara, the deal. Half the school thought he was creepy and stayed away, other half mocked/bullied him. Not too proud to admit I sometimes stepped into the second category given how he ended up. I'm in 6th grade, have to take a shit during class. I usually go to the one down the hallway, but my friend was in there too at the time and I didn't want him to make fun of me for my diarrhea sounds LMAO. Bathroom close to gym it is. I'm almost finished when I hear someone go in, lock themselves in a cubicle and start crying. Awkward.jpg. But like the gossipy little shit I am, I pulled my legs up and kept on listening, trying to guess who it was. Some guy bawling his eyes out. This is basically what I remember hearing.
You fucking told me. You liar. I brought you the rat and you didn't do it. No, leave me alone. I won't fucking go on Saturday either.
These were the important parts I could make out. Sometimes he mumbled to himself or hiccuped so it was hard to understand. I'm also weirded out that he was talking to himself, but then I figured perhaps he was on a call. Some kids at school already had cell phones so I don't know. After a while I'm just annoyed that teacher is gonna tear into me for taking this fucking long. Suddenly, the guy crying stops. I perk up like some type of deer and vividly remember him saying,
"Is someone there?"
I almost shit bricks again. Still keeping my legs up, they're numb by this point. I see the dude pass by the cubicles in those checkered sneakers, you know the ones. Luckily, he left it at that and went away. Little bit later I came out too, running only to get to the room 5 minutes before class ended. Teacher ripped into me and friend teased me for being a constipated dumbass LOL. Days pass after that, I see Jay in the hallways and see him with those same shoes on. I immediately thought it was him. Yeah, lots of kids wore those, but my instincts just told me so. Anyways, I kinda dismissed the whole incident since I was busy with life. I was actually having a shitty time overall after the fact, got quizzes dates mixed up and failed both, tire on my bike popped. And I almost broke the monitor of my dad's computer by tripping on the cable. Only solace I got is telling my friends about the encounter I had with Jay and laughing it off. One day at lunch my friend, let's call him V, taps me in the shoulder and tells me Jay is looking at me. He is, MF has that Kubrick stare. Friend thinks is hilarious and I chuckle along since these are just normal emo antics. It gets unnerving when my friends aren't noticing however, and I'm afraid he knows. Yeah, he's a scrawny high schooler but so am I, and the guy was bigger than me. I don't want to get into a fight with an older kid much less him. A thing I realized a little later was that despite Jay being the original emo, none of the other emos hung with him. Those always stuck together but avoided Jay like the plague. A cousin of V finally told me why. V's cousin hangs out with a girl who was in Jay's class. She tells me Jay used to have a small circle of friends that included this girl. Girl tells cousin he was the typical edgy teen, snuck smokes, getting piercings, etc. What cousin's friend remembers the most was the guy's obsession with satanic stuff. His friends thought it was really cool, they did seances and whatnot, read blogs about demons and shit. It was mostly a hobby/aesthetic thing like everything. It wasn't like that for Jay though. She tells me how Jay got really intense as time passed. You did something wrong while playing Ouija? The guy would blow up at you. He made lists of items to get for invocation circles and shit. He even took them to a creek near town to get toads to sacrifice. Some kids followed through, others were getting tired of how insane he was getting. They soon realized that Jay had more interest in his rituals than My Chemical Romance, and they started to distance themselves from him. What made them, and everyone in school probably, really cut him off was something the girl in question witnessed. At lunchtime, girl was passing by the gym when she heard voices inside, which then turned to screaming. She discovers the door is unlocked, goes inside, and sees Jay with one of her friends. Jay is pushing this crying kid against the wall with force while yelling at his face. Girl screams for him to leave him alone, and the kids takes the opportunity to push him and run. OFC, she tells teachers, and Jay gets in trouble. Apparently the maniac was actually pointing a blade at him, which explains why he was holding the other boy with one arm. Before you ask, no, he wasn't. I have no idea why TF this guy wasn't expelled there and then. I asked her the same thing, and everyone asks the same thing when I tell them the story. She told me they suspended him for a while, but that was it. In my school, fights and bullying weren't exactly uncommon, but come on. She also mentioned how when they were in the creek he'd sometimes roll up his sleeves and they'd see bruises, and they all assumed it was his dad since Jay always talks badly about him. I'd feel bad for the dude, but my friends had similar problems and weren't out stabbing people. This is kind of a backstory. Things started to get really serious with the guy when I was in the middle of 7th grade. Things just got more dramatic the more we got older, I guess. We were in history class. I hear sniffing a few rows behind me, and notice a girl in my class quietly sobbing. Eventually the teacher notices too, and he gently pulls her out to ask if she was fine. I figured she sent her to the nurse's office or something, because she came back a while later and she had that puffy face about her still. Gossip time. Avi. So, story short, I end up finding out that she was like that because her pet had died. Not only that, but the girl discovered his body in the woods behind her house. She had a little 7-year-old chihuahua, and the poor guy looked like something had either mauled/mutilated him. Feels bad, man. JPG. At this point I had forgotten all about Jay. Our classes were closer by, but, as usual, I was busy with life to care about it. Plus, after hearing that story about him, I figured it'd be better to stay clear of him. Creek has become a popular hanging spot for teens like us. Regularly go there and fuck around, have walks, make fire pits and bring girls. One Sunday we're there with a couple of friends, we're just talking the QTS and walking by the creek. The girl that was with me, Laura, drifts a bit far away. She soon comes back and tells us to come look. We get to this small clearing and it's easy to see someone has been there. There are some wraps on the floor, cigarette bums on a tree hole. There's also a bunch of bones hanging from trees, some looked like chicken bones, other not so much. She showed us someone's been carving that edgy upside down pentagon thingy on the trees, plus some other symbol that it's hard to figure out because it's on wood, plus I've never seen it before. I immediately think back on Jay and tell my friends we should just leave, tell them it's probably some meth head's den and I don't wanna fight off a bum. Everyone laughs and eventually they agree, thankfully. Don't tell them what I know, I don't want the girls freaking out and not coming with us anymore. Too bad for me, Creek was going to be ruined for all of us. Next time we go there's a dead dog a few miles away from where we usually hang out. Bigger one, maybe stray. I first thought it was some type of animal, even though the most dangerous thing there was foxes, but you never know. We kept finding dead squirrels and birds. When the forest began to stench we already knew we were about to find a dead body. Me and V agree it can't be an animal because they weren't exactly eaten. We started to freak out more when we found dead pets, and we knew they were because some still had collars on, or their fur seemed too well kept and lush for stray. Once we found a dead hamster and its cage was a mere feet away from it. Worst part was when I found my neighbor's cat. A calico named Lily. I knew it was her because she still had that teal collar with a little bell on. I tell V I'm not going up the creek anymore, and he is more than happy to let go of his brave teen boy facade as well. We make jokes about Jay becoming the town's serial killer. Cope harder. Gif. We honestly didn't know how to handle it, we were both suspecting the same, but we felt as if we had no proof except stories, and something told me he'd know who rat him out for it. The whole school is going wild with rumors. Kids thought it was either a bobcat, or B, some insane hobo who ate the animals. V personally didn't want to see himself involved in it, but I kind of felt responsible. I began to ask around, specifically the emo kids, since I knew they wouldn't go tell everyone because I was sure they should have been afraid of him. One guy, 9th grade, tells me he joined in just as the group was starting to cut him off. Tells me Jay usually liked to get kids on their own to start telling them about all the crazy shit he read online, and that he even had a book where he wrote his own rituals or something. I dunno. Guy also tells me how he had caught Jay cutting himself under the bleachers. I asked if this wasn't kind of normal since you know. He told me that yeah, some of the other kids cut too, but Jay wrote and draw stuff on himself. By this point, I decide to let go of the whole thing. Sorry, but not worthy risking my ass. BC some guy wearing fingerless gloves was sacrificing birds to Satan. Things actually calmed down for a while. It's summer by now, and it almost seems like it has all been forgotten. V messages me on MSN one day, tells me if I've heard the latest on Jay. Oh God, what now? Apparently his dad had some type of work accident, so Jay was sent to live with his aunt on the other side of town. CPS was called too, and it seems like Jay is staying there for good. Not only that, but his aunt lives on the nice neighborhood, so the guy really got an upgrade. I honestly hoped this would mitigate whatever the fuck was happening with this dude, and it did for a while. I was in 8th grade by now, literally 3 weeks into the school year. I sometimes see Jay around, he's still a creepy emo, still a loner, but I don't feel as unnerved as before. I actually start thinking he wasn't guilty of killing the animals after all, and he was just a troubled kid with terrible outlets for his pain. Still not hanging out with him though, but it gives me some peace of mind. It was Monday in the afternoon, I came back home, and my mom was on the phone. She looked worried and she went to lock herself up in her room to finish her convo. When she comes back she asks me,
"Do you know a boy named Jay in your school?"
I remember freezing up like I was the one to get in trouble. I think, why? This motherfucker, I kid you not, was caught trying to lead a 3-year-old girl away from the playground and into the forest. 2 moms held him down, apparently one was cut while he tried to get them off, and then the police had to hold the dad off from beating the crap out of him. Long story short, Jay was sent to juvie, no one was ever allowed in the forest again. And the emo kids got hell from the principal who scrutinized the shit out of any kid who even dared to wear black to school, lol. The very last time we went to that creek, we found a concrete structure in the middle of the forest that reeked of piss. And wouldn't you know it, right on the floor there was a giant circle with the same symbol carved up in the trees, burnt candles thrown on a corner. Hell to the no. And that's how Jay's story ended. V and I lost contact during college as is usual. He was studying in one close to our town, but I went out of state. When we were freshmen he loved to joke about Jay escaping and coming for my ass and stuff. The last time we talked about it though, V assured me that Jay had killed himself after they sentenced him to actual jail. Don't know if he was serious or not, Disuk.